Yep. So while we are done with loops and iterations, there is something we need to discuss on how to write the code rather than what to write in the code. What to write in the code we discussed till now, the basics, just the basics again. We did not even enter into functions. So okay, first we discuss about functions in a basic level. Functions, I break down the topic into two parts: the regular way of dealing the functions and the Pythonic functions. Let's discuss the regular way of dealing it. Gosh, okay, good. I see a good document here. Okay, fine. Um, so the function is like this: a piece of code which makes your life easier. So, for example, function is one of the same even for scripting languages or data-related languages like SQL. So when you say function in terms of SQL, if you have any background in that, we call them as stored procedures. So if you are from a scripting background, we call them as functions. So it goes like this. You name a regular task. When you call that task, that will be done for you. That's what a basic function means. So if you name a particular task, like, for example, if you have any idea about cron expressions that I regularly use for my Mac, what you do is we can schedule our tasks monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, like that. So for every month, I need to remove or delete my cache, which keeps on letting my system's performance down. So remove cache is some code I write and I schedule it monthly in my terminal itself. So whenever I say delete my cache, that function name, my cache will be deleted. The same operation keeps on going and going. So name logic is nothing but a function. You can use n number of times. There are two things you need to be very mindful while you're dealing with functions: definition and call. It goes like this. For Python, you just define a function using a keyword called def and a function name. So let's say name parenthesis. That's it. So, for example, print um, name function is called. So if I execute this, nothing will happen because we just defined it. Nothing is done. You need to call it. So name of. This is a way to call a function. So for example, you can write your own logic here. Let's say count is equal to 0 while count is less than n, count plus equal to 1, and then call this function. So ask your n is equal to int of, enter the number of times you want to call name. So you can do this. Sorry, this is Sublime. I don't know how to do it. Let me just create another file. Maybe So this way what I'm doing is I'm just trying to call the same function n number of times as per my logic. So what I just wanted to say is, just a second. Oh, sorry. Gosh. What is missing here? Can you please help me out, someone?
Input.
Exactly. That's a good catch. So if I say 3 for 3 times, this function will be called. And this is okay, but let me just say this. This is something called as argument. Whichever the value, whatever the value you pass inside a parameter of a function, inside the parenthesis of a function, sorry, it is called as an argument. There are two types of arguments. We'll come back to this in a bit of time. One is keyword argument and two positional argument. But still, they're one and the same. They change the structure, the way that we give, but then it is just called as a positional argument with whatever we are using now. So I just wanted to send some variable inside that function so that it will live inside that indentation too. So if I say a is equal to 3, uh, I have to excuse me about this. This comes on. So it says 5 and added to a, right? So for example, what I will do is, for these number of iterations, while a is less than, let's say 10, a plus equal to 1, name of a. So what are you trying to do here? Gosh, again, what is this indentation issue? Oh, sorry, this is tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we saw this right now. So whether depending on the input change in your arguments, your output will change, but the same logic is applied. So this comes this handy. So for example, if you want to do this without functions, so every time you need to do this print statement in this loop, right? So this seems to be not much different or not much saving your space or coding for now, because we are just dealing with a print statement. So what if you're having a huge amount of lines, some 50 lines with you? Those 50 lines has to be in this while loop. That's point one. And while you're traversing through all the loop again, the object has to be created again and again, right? So instead of that, you can define your own logic once, like this, in this case, name, and then you call it off, and the logic is executed. You can deal with multiple variables per each iteration. You've got any doubts or confused? Hope it's okay with you. So the whole point is it has got reusability in it. You just name your logic, pass your parameters. As per the parameters, which will be just the variables. So for example, you want to ask the user an input and do some operation on that input given by the user. So for example, you ask your user to enter a value of a. He will enter 10. You will apply some logic for that. Let's say divide that 10 by 2 and return the output. So there is some logic you're performing. So that one will be nothing but this a now, whichever the input that it is giving, and it is prone to some logic. But this a can change dynamically depending on your interest, and the same kind of code lines will be imparted for this a for this particular when it is called in this particular function as an argument. So having said that, if I say break, what will happen? What will be the output? Can you help me out? What will be the output if I say break here? So this is how you debug a code. So whenever you see def of a function and then a logic, you ignore it first till it is called, because whenever you define a function, objects are just assigned and created, but nothing is done. So you can just take it as nothing happened for those objects, and then the variables are declared. Yeah, count is equal to 0, is equal to 3, and then n is something which you are asking the user. While count is less than n, the increment happens. While a is less than 10, which is true. A plus, in the sense a will become now 4, and then function is called, and the logic is executed. 4 plus 2 6, comma added to a. This is what it is printed. I mean 6 space added to a, and then print function, name function is called, and then comes out of this, and it encounters a break. So whenever you break is there in the picture, what will happen?
It will just come out of the while loop. So the statement will be printed only once.
So what will be the output? If they say, who said that? I mean, whatever. So if you are saying the same thing, so, I mean, if your assumption is correct, the output should be only one statement, right?
Yeah, I thought it's gonna be only once because it's gonna come out of the while loop.
Exactly, your point is right, but you're missing something.
Is it going to check the condition until the values are less than 10 once it's...
Come on, while loop break, we discussed it already. Whenever break comes into picture, it does not check the condition. It will come out of while loop.
Okay.
But again, we discussed another point that it will come out of its parent while loop. That's it. I mean, its own while loop. We can say that like that. While loop is there are two while loops here. It will come
Yeah,
out of this while loop.
yeah, I understand that. But the thing is, for the first while loop, if it goes inside the first while loop again, is it gonna get back to the second one because it already did the break?
No. Okay. You understood till line 12, right?
Yeah.
And then break. So the function breaks. If I don't give break, what will happen? It will stay in this while loop until a becomes 10. But now a value will stay like 6, and then it will get broken in this from this while loop. To that part, are you clear?
Yes, right.
And then this while loop is still alive because this count is still less than n. Agreed?
Yes. Yeah.
So the count now here is 1. in the previous iteration. Now again it will check 1 is less than n, which is nothing but 3. So n now will become 2, and it will still check a is now 6, right? So 6 is less than 10, yes. Now it will become 7, and then execute this function again. 7 plus 2, 9. That's what you got.
Okay.
By the way, what is your, oh sorry, 6 is nothing but a plus 2, right? For a previous iteration. Did you remember that? Yeah, 3 is now incremented to 1, which has become 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Confused?
Yeah, Kiran, if you don't mind, can you please explain me once again the whole thing? I'm somewhere lost. I mean, I'm not able to get it.
So Python always executes like an interpreter. So it's a line by line execution. Count is 0, a is equal to 3. So this is just a definition of a function. Leave about this. This will just assign objects. It will not do anything whenever you see a definition of function. So then comes the 5th line, which is count is equal to 0. 6th line, a is equal to 3. 7th line, where you are asking and assigning n from the user. In our case, we entered 3. So the while loop starts. So 0 is less than n, which is nothing but 3. So count is incremented. So now count is 1 for you, right? So, and we are entering again to another while loop, and we are checking for something called a. A is nothing but 3. 3 is less than 10. So yes, execute this logic. So now a plus 1, in the sense 3 plus 1, 4. Agreed, right? So a is now 4. Now execute this function. Now go back to here. This is the way you need to understand how Python parses. So step by step, line by line. So now your a is 4, but 4 plus 2 is 6, because we are printing 4 plus 2. And 6 space added 2 to a. This is what you got here. This print statement is nothing but this one in this interpreter. And then comes the next function, next print statement, which is nothing but name function is called. And then after your function is done, you come back to here. You encounter break, right? Still now you are still here, where you went to the function in the middle, and you came back after that function is executed completely, entirely. And then you have a break here. Break will break from the present existing while loop, only one while loop. If you want to break away from the other while loop as well, what you need to do?
Do we need to break it? Do we need to add another break, or do we have to put this break in?
Hey, see, come on. So
I'm not sure.
no, we are done with the while loop
We have
break.
to do another break.
So you are the ones who is going to teach me. So can I add break, another one?
Yes, but the indentation should be just with the next while statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Like this?
Yes,
Are you sure?
hope so. Yeah, you can run, and then we can make sure if it is sure, we are right or not.
Okay. By the way, if you have observed this, when I am end of this line, it goes only directly to this, right? I mean the cursor. Observe this. When I hit enter, it goes to this indentation itself. But when I hit after this break, it directly goes here. Why is that?
Because it's
Is
breaking.
that once we break? Yeah.
Yeah, once you break, nothing is going to work in your way. So this is never going to get executed unless you do what? Remove the break. So when you execute this one, are you sure that you're going to get this statement executed only once? Of course it will be. Got this right? What if I say continue?
It will not affect anything. It will be like the last execution.
My bad. Okay. There seems to be a problem with my economy. Now I'll get an indentation error, I know it. I don't have any choice for now. Yep. So now what will be the output?
It will just print hey once and then count.
So Smita's bit says she says print hey once.
No, 1 second.
Enter the number of times.
No, it's gonna be the same. 3 times will be the name function is called, and 3 times, like if after each name function is called, it's gonna print hey.
It's gonna print hey, right? For the 3 times. Exactly, perfect. Any oppositions for this? No, right?
No.
My gosh. What is this? Okay, let me repeat that loops and conditionals again. If you don't answer if you answer another question incorrectly, or if you don't justify this one, I'll just repeat that class again. Please justify this output. Anyone? I'm just trying to make sure you're having a good understanding on breaks and continues. That's it.
Okay, so if we do continue, does that mean it's gonna?
That's a good question. Add it
I
to
mean,
your.
it's printing the end of execution as well. So, but it's not running until the while condition.
Now let's be digging. What's now? What will be the output?
Okay, I got it. The inside while loop will continue until the first while loop is gonna like 3 times it's gonna be, because it's less than, count should be less than 3. So 3 times the first while loop will run, and as long as the first while loop runs, the inside while loop also will run. So it breaks every time, but it keep running because the first while loop is running. So that's why it is 3 times it is executing. But I'm not sure why the print hey is not printed.
I'm not sure I got everything, but still, I'm looking for why print hey is not there. I did not get that answer. Okay, fine.
Oh, okay. Because I think continue is also continue means it starts again beginning from the while loop. So it's not I mean, it doesn't go to the print statement. It's just continue means it starts again from the beginning, goes to the condition, while condition again. So for after the 17th, the execution will come back to number 8 line. It will not go till 19 because it's continue. Continue means it's the continuation of the while loop, but it's not taking to the next step.
Oh, okay. So if that understanding is correct, what will be the output now?
1 second, let me check.
If someone is opposing Sushmita, you can rise up. Maybe your understanding is a bit different. Maybe you got the correct output. Maybe the correct justification.
So I guess it is I am above continue that also will print after the end of execution print statement. So 3 times this will also include.
Then what about print hey?
No, it will not take it because continue means it's going back to the while condition, the beginning of the while statement. It's not going further. It doesn't break. It doesn't come out of the while statement, but it goes back to the beginning of the while statement. But it doesn't take the next step after the continue. I mean, it's kind of breaks, but it's not break. It's just stops right there, but it goes back to the beginning of the while statement.
I think it's skip the execution of current iteration. That's why it's not printing the hey statement.
Skip the current in the sense.
So after continue, there is a statement print here, right? So continue means it's just skip the execution of current iteration, right?
So it means I am above continue should not be printed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you understand the question? So if it is skipping the current iteration, I am above continue should not be printed, right? It's a current iteration print, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just skip the print hey statement, I think, and it's continue looping the other stuff.
Clearly poking on this print hey statement. If you say current iteration, there are a lot of sequence of steps. Count plus is equal to 1 is the current iteration. While loop is a current iteration. For that iteration, while you come across continue, right?
Yeah.
Where did you get that sentence? Skips the current iteration.
Yes, I read somewhere before.
Okay. Whatever Sushmita said, 10 points to Gryffindor. It's absolutely the correct thing. So continue will, yeah. Prasanna, this is what exactly you have to say in an interview if you are asked. It skips the current iteration, but till continue came into picture, it assumes that there is no continue, right? So everything is without continue. Whenever continue comes into picture, this current iteration, in the sense going after continue statement, it's a break for that. Whenever it comes, it sees continue, it's just going back to the loop again, whereas wherever is C break, it will go out of the while loop. Vijayashree, are you ready with this, the thing that you're searching for?
Yeah. Yesterday, like I was trying something and then I was not, I mean, I'll share the screen 1 minute.
Just a second. This is about break. It will just come here, but continue will be going up above again for the loop. So all these things, if line is equal to done, everything, whatever you write, it's negligible for continue. That's why it did not get printed. Yep. Let me just unshare my screen. If you don't understand, you can call me out. But hoping that you all understood, yeah, you can share your screen history. Yeah, we just go ahead and share your screen, please. Oh, you're already using IPython. Good.
Okay, and this is actually one of the coding challenge, but then I got stuck because it keep printing no, but I was not able to figure out what's that I'm doing wrong in this.
Sorry, I didn't see any complexity in this, right?
Yeah, it's a very simple one, but I'm not getting the logic.
Okay. What are you checking whenever you say I equal to k?
Okay, if the value when it's checked, for example, where I say for I in the range of length of n, that is like it will check each element of the array, right?
Got it. So
So
can
if
you
that,
controls?
sorry,
Yeah. I have taken the control.
okay.
So what do you say for this? I is the value of that array.
Mm-hmm.
Is it so?
I is the value of an element of the array, right? Yeah.
So what did you get there?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So that was about index. There are two kinds of for loops I said, right? For I in A is value by iteration by value. If you say for I in range of something, it is value by index. I mean iteration by index, sorry. It's like that.
Okay.
So if you don't understand it, you can always debug it, why it is not getting equated to that. So what you can do is, you can do this now. You got a yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need to Google it. You can debug each and every line. So because you're getting I, and if at all you're not able to sort this out, you can also print K. So I is 2, K is 9. I is 4, K is 9, like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good that you're actually started practicing it. And if at all someone has any doubts, you can always share your screens and we can discuss both. Because I'm not very sure about this, but your levels may be at basic level, at least when compared to me. So when you bring up the things like this, it'll be interesting for you guys rather than me taking up some things which may or may not be equated with your frequency.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is about, again, breaks and continues we are discussing. I hope you are all clear with this continue and break. What if I say pass? Have any idea? Can you help me out? Forgot already?
That will go to the print statement now.
In the sense?
The next statement. Pass means go to the next statement.
So you mean to say I'm above and continue is printed and hey is also printed?
Yes.
Are you sure?
But I think it will only print once.
Oh, is it so?
Oh no. So it goes back to then what is the point of the pass statement here?
Exactly.
It's not required, right?
Yes. Why are we having pass? Can anyone answer this? For now, for example, I gave a conditional here, if true, just for demonstration purpose, let's say. Or I define a class. Okay, class we didn't enter, right? So I define a function, but I don't want to define any logic. It's an empty function. So I can I'm not even calling it out, right? So I'm just assigning an object called function. So it's okay, right? We can do it, right? But I got something called expected EOF while parsing. Because you're expected to do something with this function, but you're not doing it. But I really don't want to do anything. So in that case, instead of printing some invalid function or something like that, please ignore this or something like that. You can just say pass. It will not care about it anymore. So got that right?
Mm.
So that's
Okay, can you please repeat that if you don't mind?
yeah. I never mind about it. So just to declare an empty function, or okay, let me take another example. If 1 equal to 1, which is always true,
Mhm.
do nothing. So if you do that, you'll get an error saying that you have started your indentation with a colon. You are supposed to do some logic in your indentation level 2, let's say,
Mhm.
right? But you're not doing. But it's again still a valid thing. I don't want to do anything. I just want to declare it.
Okay.
But Python will not allow it. So that's why, to just escape that thing, you'll have something called pass.
Okay.
So just as declaring an object, and you can use it afterwards. So
Okay.
this I can give you a very good, relevant example with classes. I don't know how many of you will understand, but still. So what I will do is I'll declare a class called human, let's say, and I'll just say pass. And I'll declare sorry, let's think it as an animal. It's called as an abstract class. We'll come across it in OOPS when we are discussing. So I'll declare something called human with animal inside it. So, or else there is an inbuilt functionality I'll use instead of this. I'll say error. I'll say exception. So I'll just say ABC exception pass. I'll say BCD exception. I'll just say pass. So I'll declare exceptions like this, and I'll implement uh, let's say a equal to, sorry, for example, a is equal to 10. If a equal to 10, then raise ABC exception. Else raise BCD exception. Leave about all the syntax. I just use it mainly. So this one now we don't have to do anything about it, right? So when I save this up, I think I missed a keyword. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. We are going to discuss about it in a while, but just messed it up. So we declared a is equal to 10. Whenever a condition is met like this, raise this exception. So you cannot raise this exception like that. There should be a default exception in Python code. So for example, you can only use some set of exceptions. I think I'm in the wrong module. Yeah. So this is docs.python.org. So if you see here, if you come across this one here, it should be something like, oh sorry. Again, there are some 50 or 60 inbuilt exceptions. Yeah. If you see here, all these are the standard exceptions, but whatever you have to use. But now, since I was able to declare all these classes, I was able to declare my own exceptions, right? But then, if I don't want to use this pass, so let's say, for example, I don't use this. Okay, I commented it out. So when I execute this program now, it says indentation error. So the whole point is leave about the logic, code, everything. It's about pass that I told. Clear? Did I confuse you? Do you want me to repeat this again?
Yeah, can you repeat this? And
Good. So what additional functionality we achieve while we are having the usage of pass in Python? That was the question. So what I did now is, there is an additional functionality in Python to catch the exceptions. Every scripting language does it. So these are all the available exceptions in Python. Only these can be caught. For example, EOF error or attribute error, in the sense if there is no attribute that you are using in this logic. For example, zero division error, we have discussed earlier maybe. So 1 by 0, if it comes in your program, it's infinity, right? So your code breaks down. So for that, to catch that, there is something called division by 0 error. So like that, there are only certain set of exceptions that we can catch. But if your condition has a variable called a, and whenever it gets 10, it's dangerous for your code, let us say. Our story goes like this. You can have any value to your a, but not 10. In that case, you want to catch that exception. If at all a is equal to 10, you build your own logic, some 10 lines of logic. The 11th line is if a is equal to 10, then raise this exception. So for that, there is no inbuilt exception available in Python. You need to write your manual exceptions. So for that, we need to use some bit of crazy code like this. So if I don't want to, and I don't want to actually really print any logic here, because this is built for only raising an exception. That's why I just declared a class here, if you see line 22, and just did nothing. So it gave an indentation error because it's very clear, right? So class, I declared some object, I gave colon. So next it expects the logic to be indented in level 1, right? It's level 0. Now it should be, rest of the things it should be in level 1, but that's not what our requirement is. This is a class, this is another class. These are two independent entities, right? So these are two independent block sets. This is speaking about BCD exception, this is speaking about ABC exception. So I don't want another this to be resided inside this indentation, right? So I declared like this, but I get an indentation error. So to tickle with this problem, we use pass. If you don't understand it, there is no worry, leave it, but pass is just used like that.
you got it.
Coming back to the functions, you got this right. So definition and calling out a function. So def, let's say greet, print good morning. Unless it is called, nothing will happen. If you say print greet, what will happen? Let's see. It says function greet at that index, right? So when I say this one, print greet of function, I mean calling that function call, I'm printing out. So what will happen? It says greet, good morning, and then it says none. Leave about it. And I just try to grasp the things here. First step, I printed out in the function and I did not call. Okay, I printed out in the function and then I printed out the call of the function. Remember this. And then I printed out in the function something and I just called the function, case 2. I just got good morning. Now, what I will do is, I'll say something called return and then I print out the call of the function. Now I got good morning. Okay, well and good. Now I print out the return of a function and then I'm just calling the function. I just got nothing. So I'm a bit curious I'm more curious now what's happening.
Because return doesn't print anything.
Oh yeah, that's a valid point. Okay. Agreeing to whatever it is called out now, return doesn't print anything. I return something and I'm printing out the call of function. I got good morning. So this is weird now, right? Or am I missing something?
Return means it's returning that statement, the good morning, but it's not printing out. That's the result, but result will be printed when we will use the print statement. It's like a result of this function is the good morning statement, but it is
Whenever the
printing.
function is called, it's not printed?
Sorry?
Whenever the function is called, it's not printed?
When function you are calling and with the print statement, then it is printed, right?
Okay. Yep.
Because
So,
there is no printing option for this function. The function just returns the statement, which is good morning. That's it. But it returns internally, but we cannot see it because it's not printed.
okay. That's a good point. So whenever I'm assigning a value a is equal to 2, I need to print a, right? Unless and until I print this, this will not be visible.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So what this return is doing is it is declaring greet as a variable, just like another variable in Python. Let's say a. It will be more clear when I do this. I'll say result is equal to greet of, and I'll just say 2. I'm just returning 2. I'm just saying, by the way, the parentheses are optional here for return. Anyways, so when I say result is a variable and result is equal to greet of, and I'm calling it. Print result. To make sure this is what it is printing, this is result. When I execute this, you got this, right? So this is nothing but a variable that is having a value. So greet is now a variable. This is more or less equal to a is equal to 2, b is equal to a, print b. This is what we are doing here. We declare a is equal to 2, which is nothing but greet function is there, right? In this we return 2. In the sense greet is equal to 2. So which is nothing but a is equal to 2. Result is equal to greet. In the sense b is equal to a. But still we need to print this, right? that's what we need to do, print result or print greet. Now this greet of has become a variable, just like a variable, right? So I'll do this. What will happen? This is the result, because this is just a function type. We are not really calling it out. Did you understand this? Is it clear? Or confused? Am I misleading you guys?
Nope, I guess.
Okay, fine then. So I'll just stop it here. Maybe this session might seem confusing for you. I think so. But still, it's a good interaction after a long while, from this batch at least. Keep on this interaction going forward, because you'll learn as per your levels, not as per my level. I mean, I may have an intention and a speed, right? So you may be faster than me, you may be slower than me. So if you keep on interacting, we'll move together. That's how we learn together. So this is a good one for today. So I hope you understood about continue, break, which were discussed in the earlier section. Earlier session, and functions, and what else we discussed in this session?
Pass.
Okay, fast did we not discuss in the last session?
Yeah, we discussed in
Yeah, but
the
it was not
previous
clear.
section.
Okay, we did not catch up much for this session, but still, I think that you are clear with the concepts of earlier sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have